Hello, this is Grandmaster Jerry Sassy Fontenot with another episode of Anime Power Talk, Sport Karate Illustrated, and the Dojine. Today we're going back in the days when he had an afro. It was kind of red. This gentleman is someone who I completely consider him a friend. He's been able to revolutionize, or I should say reinvent himself a few times over. He's over a half a century old, but he doesn't know that because he's still performing like the youngsters. And this gentleman, I can honestly say I met him in the 1980s. Yep, that's the 1980s. And at the time he was, well, he's going to tell you what that was. But when it's all said and done, Ernest Dirty Red the Cat Miller, depending on who you know him or what stage, is a person who leads by example. He is a true Renaissance man. He's been able to reinvent himself, like I said, a few times, and I'm happy to say that we got him here live and direct. Are you there, Dirty Red?
I'm here,
Mr. Miller.
I'm here, Jerry. What's going on, brother?
Man, let me tell you something. You are one of my 300. If I had a chance to have only 300 people in an army to fight against the world, buddy, you're one of the members of my team. That's what this is about.
I'm glad to hear that, brother. I'm glad to hear that. You will be on my team, too.
Well, wow, I'm honored. But you know what, just for the purpose of making sure that people understand, I want to know what was your motivation, inspiration, or desperation to start in the martial arts? When was it? Talk to me. Now, if you don't hear me, is it because I put myself on mute? Because you got the mic in the beginning. How did it start?
Well, you know, it started just like everybody else did, back in the early 70s. I was a young kid, and right then, you know, I kind of started watching this guy on TV kick and punch and do all the great moves and stuff, and it was just really cool. And it was Bruce Lee. So, you know, we got into some of the Bruce Lee movies. I saw some of the guys, you know, trying it out, but nobody really knew what they was doing. They were all just making up moves. So, you know, I got someone that said, hey, you know what, I'm going to join the karate school and learn to do this stuff for real so I can one day teach it. So I started behind wanting to be a teacher. So, you know, it started in the 70s, and it kind of carried on, and I've never
let me just interject for a second. Sir, I have now been educated, or some people say educated, on your history. Where was it, and what style did you begin in the beginning?
I started with a style called Shai Tong. Shai Tong is more like American kickboxer. My teacher that I started to work with was Ronald Walker, and, you know, he was a great teacher. He taught us the art of defense and self-defense, open hands and kicks, and throws and punches and takedowns. So, you know, all of that was into this style that I started with. But over the years, I'm like everybody else, you kind of go from instructor to instructor, and you start learning different styles, and it's sort of a melting pot into martial arts when you reach the age that we are, Jerry.
Amen. We made it this. I wish I knew I was going to be alive this long. I might have kept some of that money.
yeah. Tell me about it.
Okay, so now was this in Atlanta? Was it, because when I met you in 1988, 89, I met you in Connecticut. I believe at the time you was playing for the New England Patriots, but I was getting ahead of ourselves. But give me the beginning days. Where was it? And then in terms of competition.
It started in Atlanta.
Okay. Gotcha.
Actually, right outside Atlanta, Decatur, Georgia. And it kind of carried on, you know. It's just like anything else, kind of carried on, you know, throughout the years. You know, I was doing it every day. And then as I got a little older, I started doing other sports, you know, soccer, basketball, baseball. But during the off season, my instructor always had me to come back all the way into college. You know, I went away with college, but then during the summertime, I come back to work and teach. So all of it started in a little outside of Atlanta in Decatur, Georgia. So from there, you know, it carried on with me. I moved to, like I said, I moved up to New York, trying out for a couple of professional football teams, New England Patriots, New York Jets, And there where I was away from karate actually about maybe 2 or 3 years once I got out of college and started trying to play pro football. But it kind of carried me in a full circle. You know, I kind of went to Connecticut after being out of it 3 years. I met some real good martial artists, you know, Michael Conrad, what's his name, Michael Conroy, Michael White. You know, I think they had a gym that was called West Haven, a New Haven Karate Club. And that way they got me back into it, man. That's when I, you know, made new friends. I met all you guys up there.
Well, let me just interject for a second, because when you mentioned Mike White, those of you who are listening, that's Michael. Today he's known as Michael John White, action star in a whole bunch of movies, you know, including Jerry Springer movies and going back to Spawn and so on and so forth, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. You know, very good friend, a great martial artist, and good people. But in addition to that, what Dirty Red, and that was the character that we or you was portraying at that time, which I loved, because you know you kind of reminded me of myself when your top was reddish.
Exactly. And it was a natural red. It was a natural red head. So you know, a head full of hair, red hair.
And you know what's so funny? There's a gentleman by the name of Hachi Greg Tierney, who was known in the streets as Dirty Red also. So when he says that, it kind of reminds me of, there was 3 Dirty Reds as we knew, or Reds, and one was Ernest Miller, the other one was Greg Tierney, and the other one, rest in peace, was Malcolm X or Malcolm Little, who was also known as Red. So those are 3 people that I think about, pretty warriors, you know, warriors and leaders. All right, so now, you relocate to New York, and then let's briefly talk about, before you get a chance to go into trying out for the professional sports, but still involved in martial arts. Did you compete when you were in Atlanta, or do you have any memories of what would have been competition then?
You know what's so fun about that? My very first tournament was the well, I can't say my first. Let's say I did compete in a bunch of regional tournaments, but then the very big tournament that I kind of competed in and got ready for, that I really look forward to, was the Battle of Atlanta. And that was I remember the year, that was 1975.
Holy smokes!
I won my very first trophy at the 1975 Battle of Atlanta. You know, I got.
Who doesn't props to you? Wait, 1975 was when Mr. Joe Cordy was fighting against Bill Superfoot Wallace for his first defending of his world title at that event. Right?
And you know, at that event, I it's so far ago, so long ago, I don't remember. I don't remember anything. But you know, I did remember running into Joe Corley, Chuck Norris. I got to see all those guys. It was my
I'm sure Jeff Smith was there. The who's who.
Yeah, Jeff
the who's
Smith,
who.
man. I mean, you know how the tournament was then. I mean, they were huge.
Nothing was bigger.
You know,
nothing was bigger than the Battle of Atlanta.
Chuck Norris was there. Everybody was there.
Okay.
Everybody was there.
So now, all right. So let's just fast forward a little bit to when you started actually competing in the black belt division. When was that?
Oh man, let me see. You know, it's so funny. I didn't get my black belt until I was older. I made it to brown belt, and because I was gone so much, my instructor was ready to give me my black belt, but I was traveling around with football and sports, and I went away to college that I didn't get my black belt. So I didn't get my black belt until everything kind of settled down a little bit. And when I mean settled down, that's when I kind of got with a team, the New York Jets and then New England Patriots, where I kind of waited to make a home away from home to start back into it. So, you know, by the time I started back, I was on a brown belt. So I fought in a couple of tournaments, and I fought in brown belt tournament. I was up there in that area. And I fought in a couple of tournaments there as a brown belt. But then when I went home, I think I went home for Christmas, and my instructor called me in, and, you know, he gave me my black belt. But I got a good story to tell you that, I you know, being away from karate, you know this too. I don't know if you took some time away from karate, Jerry, but 5
years.
Being away from karate, you don't know how you're going to gel. You don't know how it's going to come back and what it's going to do to you. You know how you're going to gel, right? So I was away from karate so long, man, that once I started back, you know, I was trying to gauge myself to see where I am. I didn't want to go out there in brown belt and let somebody just beat me around the ring. So what I started doing, I found a karate school with Mike and Michael White and Michael Conroy. They said, come to our karate school. We spar and we do all this. So I decided to go into this school, and I decided, you know what, I'm not going to go in as a brown belt. I found the first belt I could find, old belt I could find, and it just happened to be a yellow belt. So I went into this school, man. I started taking classes with these guys, and they were all good fighters, and I wore the yellow belt. So one day, you know, the first week I didn't spar, but then I started staying after practice. You know, all the yellow belts and stuff had to go home. None of the yellow belts could fight with these guys because these guys were all black belts. So I saw them sparring one day, and they were looking good, and I couldn't spar. I had a yellow belt on. I didn't tell them I was really a brown belt. So I asked one day, could I spar with them? And Mike White said, yeah, you can spar with us, but we're going to take it easy on you. And they think, you know, I'm doing stuff to them that they were like, wait a minute. This guy's not really a yellow belt. I mean, what are you doing? So, you know, I had to break the news to them that I'm really a brown belt, but I just put a yellow belt on since I'm coming into school with you guys. And they never let me live that down. They bring that up now.
That's a phenomenal story. And again, kudos to Mike Conroy, rest in peace. His father just passed away like 2 days ago. So that's why we haven't done his power talk. You know, my condolences to him. But this is a gentleman that I met back in 1981 at had a tournament there, and that Chuck Merriman was promoting. And Mike White, of course, I met him as a teenager when him and I fought in New York City of all places. But getting back to Dirty Red, so now it's I'm gonna fast forward to 1989 because at the Valentine Nationals over there in Connecticut, and I think it was at the base, the submarine base. Man, there was a division, the heavyweight division, where people were getting banged up and knocked out and knocked around. And it was kind of crazy because it was a local tournament, February, Valentine. I don't believe you took first place, but Dennis Malloy probably did. But that was the first time I saw this Dirty Red character, and I was blown away because your approach was a little different than most because your footwork, you were able to be a little more elusive.
Yeah.
That was something that you was what I would consider a real heavyweight, not a light heavyweight that gained weight. And I'm not sure if it was that event, but I remember there was one time that you and I were speaking, and I don't know if you asked me a question or if I gave you some advice, but this is one thing I'm not exactly sure. Do you remember when it was when we were working on the fakes and the reposition? Because I don't remember if it was that day, but.
I don't remember that tournament, but I do remember the conversation, and I think I saw you doing something. And I'm a black belt that never stopped learning. I learn from anyone. I learn from any younger guys, older guys. If I see you doing something that I can kind of take and make it a part of my weapons, I do that. I take it and make it and put it in my bag of tricks. So I saw you doing these different angles, and I remember asking you, like, tell me, Jared, what are you doing? What? Tell me about that. And you told me about the imaginary clock, going at different angles, stepping away from the attacker to come back and cutting the angles off. So you did a lot of that, and that was great. And then I just said, you know what? I went back the next day. I think I left that tournament. I went right back to the dojo. And I put that imaginary clock on the floor, and I started doing it. And I'm still doing it, still working, Even to this day, it's still working.
I remember going to the Battle of Atlanta years after where they had the Atomics Challenge, where, just to be honest, you wasn't beating people, you was embarrassing people, you was humiliating people, you was running through people. And I said to you, man, that was great the way you fake and reposition, and you, true blue, as a man that you are of your word, said, man, you showed me that. And I was like, holy crap, I thought so, but I wasn't sure. But you made it look so much better than me.
You know what? I didn't make it look better than you because, you know, all my life playing sports in high school, ever since I was young, actually. I mean, back in grade school, you know, I can remember everybody talking about using your feet to do whatever maneuver you want. Put your brain in your feet. Think about your feet. Don't think about your hands. Catching a football is it's the position of your feet. Use your footwork. You know, so I concentrated. Then I just never put the two together when it came to martial arts until you kind of put that in my head. That's the same thing you've been doing the whole time. And that's exactly what I do now. I try to move my feet, reposition myself. And, you know, and I'm going to tell you this right here. I hit hard. Everybody know I hit hard. So when you got a moving object that kind of might be there when you get there, it might be somewhere else, and then which means this moving object right here can also hit you real hard. So it's kind of, you know, throw a little twist in there. You don't want to make a mistake because that mistake may cause you. So that's what I put those two together, the footwork, and I make you pay when you miss me. That's anybody. That's the young guys today that's anybody. You know, they're a lot faster than I am. They're kicking. You know, I can't move as quick as I used to. But you know what? Every now and then I'm going to make you miss. And then when you do miss, I'm going to make you pay.
Well, the best block in the world is not being there. And that's what you're proving to do. And in addition to that, those of you who are listening, Mr. Miller also does something that's very interesting. And I don't call it the old school because it's the true school. And the truth is timeless. He also wraps his hands and uses and actually punches people as opposed to making believe the way it's supposed to be. So thank you for that, sir.
But Jerry, you know, back in the days, man, if you hit somebody with an open hand, it wasn't a point.
Yeah.
If you slap somebody with a back fist and then just slap them with it, it's not a point. You know, you had to put some, especially in the black belt ring. To the guys today, man, I'm telling you, they hit you. They're a lot faster, but they have no power. The blitzing today, it wasn't a certain thing as a blitz. It was more a reverse punch. It wasn't you just taking off going. You had to be really, you had to be like Douglas People with that thing. It was a weapon. You know, if you had one reverse punch, that was a chance you can beat people with all kinds of weapons, kickers, punches. If you got a good reverse punch, but that reverse punch made you pay. You know, you paid when you got hit with that.
Did you just mention Doug Peoples? Is that what you said?
Oh man, come on! You know Doug. I had to give it to Doug. You know I'm looking at
Doug Peoples stayed right in the props and kudos to Doug Peoples, who I'm going to definitely interview him. Also, one of Robert Chisek's students, and also classmates to Steve Best, and a whole bunch of people like Karen Harvey. And these are names that some of you guys may not know, but let me tell you right now, Mr. Ernest, the Cat Miller, Dirty Red, I'll be damned if people are going to go unrecognized in the martial arts world if I go do something about it. Because let me tell you something. This year I was at the Battle of Atlanta, which was phenomenal, and you know you was part of the production there. And they interviewed me not once, but 2 times, 2 different groups. They walked past at least 15 people that should have been interviewed way before me. And I appreciate that people still know who I am personally. However, I'm just a fan of martial arts. I got an opportunity to be a participant also. And today I'm interviewing people that need the props. Yes, sir.
You said something, man, that really makes a difference. Now, I've been in karate for a long time. You know, I've been fighting, competing. I've been out on that side. Now I'm on the promoting side as well. But you know what? To hear some of these younger guys talk about who do you think is the best such and so, who did you watch growing up? If you can call one name, you're not a fan of karate. You're a person in karate. You're not a part of that, because there's no way you can say that Billy Blank. I looked up to Billy Blank the way he fought. When you had Mafia in the ring, when you had Scorpion in the ring, when you had Jerry Fast Feet Polonaise, there's no way you can pick one fighter and say you looked up to that fighter, because you know and I know. There was some time when Billy got his butt, he got his clock clean. You know, Richard and Terry Kramer, all those guys, they were good fighters, but they didn't look forward to fighting me. You know, they didn't do all that stuff that they did on a lot of people. Now, you know, it was a close fight. Sometimes they won, but, you know they was in a fight with me. But when I listen to people talk about these guys were just so superior, man, they weren't superior. They were just on the better team. You know and I know. When these guys got out there in the ring, they didn't scare us. They didn't scare me. I hit just as hard as they hit, you know, and they gave me the respect then.
Well, you know what? Again, I had an interview today with a gentleman who is really probably the most, in terms of documenting martial arts I've ever met, and that's Manny Reyes Jr., who has every single match on paper that he wrote down that he competed, over 800 matches. And one of the things that's fascinating is that he's a historian, and in order to find out how we got to the present in any industry, you have to study the past. And the past was where the ball had to go inside the hoop to get 2 points. In 1990s, all you had to do is hit the rim. In 2000, all you had to do is hit the backboard, and today, just throw it in the court. Obviously, my analogy is this. Sport karate have changed throughout the years, but the people who are real sport karate players, as I call them, never changed. And they still respect men of honor who can knock you on your booty and also have dinner with you afterwards with no problem.
Oh, yes. But, you know, these cats today, man, it's all about who's out there, who does one thing. You know, it's more about they kind of selfish a little bit. Everybody's looking at karate, and then they picking, they got their own visual idea and concept of what karate is about. You know, to me, karate, man, was more like a family. You know, if you was in karate and I was in Decatur, if you was in the karate and you was in New York, you were part of that family. You know, when we met up at tournament, it was a learning process too. It was time to learn something. Hey, I wasn't afraid to walk over to Jerry Fontanez and say, Jerry, how do you do that work right there, the imaginary clock? And you didn't hesitate to show me. And I went back and practiced that with my class. You know, but you know one thing, when me and you fought, I was going to try to use it on you. And 9 out of 10 times you knew it, because you knew exactly that this cat right here practicing that. I'm not.
Well, let me just say this. Let me say this, because one of the things that I've been known for throughout the years is as a kicker. Obviously, the nickname is Fast Feet, but you asked me about angle because you noticed something that was a little different. But in reality, what I've been throughout the years, and you also, I'm one of those guys that became good at psychological warfare or pre-fight or pre-framing. You and I officially just competed against each other in the ring just one time, and I lost to you, and I tell you the main reason why I was thrown off. You're the only person in the history of sport karate who I try to get into their head, and you stared out into space. And then it hit me. I'm saying, you freaking idiot. This guy here has played in major sports where the real intimidation factor kicks in. So how the hell would you be able to get into his head? It was incredible. I was at the Ocean State Nationals. I loved it.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what? You were doing the same thing that I was doing. I recognized that. I knew that all the time. So Jerry gonna walk around, he gonna shake your hand, he gonna pat you on the back, he gonna smile at you, tell you a few jokes, then he's gonna come at you like a madman when you get in there. I already knew that. So that's why I couldn't fall into my own trap. And that's what these guys are doing today. You know, when I see these young guys out here, man, they party together, do all this good stuff together, and then they get in the ring, man, and these guys they are vicious, man. You know, so if you didn't come to fight, let me tell you something. Somebody's gonna wake you up. You know, I saw a guy, they was out one night, they went at the tournament. They went out one night and they partied together, and then the next night in the ring, man, they just so happened to meet up in the Grand Championship, and these guys were fighting like dogs at each other, man. They were really going at it. So you had to I can only respect that. You know, I respect that. But the thing is this right here. Why don't you have that attitude all the time with everybody you fight?
There's a different era. How about I told you this? This weekend that just passed in England, a gentleman by Alfie Lewis was the host of the World Martial Arts Organization World Championships. Now, I was the president of the United States leg of it, and the reason I even got involved with that is because it's the sport karate that you and I grew up playing. Today, sweeps are allowed, cartwheel kick, all that stuff that we did way back when. So the coming years, I'm going to be supporting that because I don't have to, at that point, educate someone that a kick has to lock the knee, that a hand has to close the fist, that you're allowed to sweep and do a cartwheel and takedowns, because those techniques that were crowd favorites and they made your arsenal that much more versatile.
Goodness. Hey,
talk to me, baby.
Jerry, I'm going to tell you this right here. You're so true about that, man. It's hard for you to work in the ring now because, first of all, they give the point to the guy the first guy that get off sometime, even if it don't hit you. They act like you on the other side can't play defense and jam the punch. They going to give it to you. Even if he get off first and touch you, they going to give you the point. So that cut out a lot of defense. You know, the only good defense that I've seen is people trapping their back fist up over their head and throwing the body punch. But what about the middle block? What about the outside block? What about jamming that side kick and coming around it? They won't give you those points. They'll give the point to the guy that got out first. I was in a tournament up in Canada, and this guy had to be about 5'8", short guy. And I think he was the winner of the lightweight, so it was in the Grand Championship. And I saw this guy throwing reverse punches. He was real fast, throwing reverse punches. First time he get off, they said fight. He come at me with the reverse punch, and I lock it down. Both my hands up, I lock it down. He hit me on my elbow. They gave him one. So I looked at it. I didn't say anything. I said, maybe they didn't see it. He did it again. I jammed it again. They gave him another point. So then I was down by 2, and this guy started running around, and then I was like, man, I got a little frustrated. So, what did I do? There was nothing I could do because I couldn't catch him. They weren't going to make him fight. So I waited till the bell rung, and I grabbed him and hit him. At least he felt that power.
Let me apologize for the martial arts industry who doesn't know any better, because they think, listen to me, sir, they think that they're doing the right thing. They're unconscious and incompetent because that blind is leading the blind. No offense intended, guys, but this is my analogy, and I could be wrong. I believe that the people who know better aren't around any longer, and the ones who know better that are around have just given in. Because when you have a gang, they call it a team, of people yelling and screaming, men, women, and children, when a judge doesn't give a point to something that hit the backboard or the rim, then eventually they give in. And Master Joe Cody is a perfect example of the person holding up what was quality technique, and eventually he says, what can I do? I'm outnumbered over here. This is ridiculous. And it only took him about 25 years until he finally said, I don't want any part of this nonsense. How about this? I refuse to let the future not be brighter than the past, because at soon to be 50, I still have the passion, desire, and know-how to be able to educate people on their history, and this is part of it. We're not play-hating, but we're not happy. So what do you do when you're not happy? Either you cry about it or do something about it. And my goal is to do something about it, because there's enough people around that still know better. They may not be around participating, but whether it's John Longstreet, Jesse Thornton, and I'll stop there because there's so many other people, they feel the same exact way. And what I have been able to do back in 2008, and eventually the same thing happened in 2015, was go to the true school of sport karate. But what I did was I changed the name of what we did. And I said, if this is called point karate or sport karate, then we must have done something different. And I called it sniper fighting. We were snipers, sharp, precise
man.
and on point.
Oh
because
man,
it
you're preaching, you're telling the truth, you're hitting the nail on the head. Today, man, I tell you, karate is not. There's no really. You get guys who can hit you hard. They slap. A lot of good slaps out there. In black belt, man, let me tell you something. If you wasn't working out, what they call in the lab, working on your skills, working on your technique, if you wasn't doing that, there was no way you were going to get in that ring started, especially the heavyweight ring. You weren't going to get in there because if you did, you were going to probably get hurt because you had guys in there, Billy, Terry, yourself. You had guys in there, man, who really worked on their technique, and their technique was hard. You didn't get hit. Let me tell you something. You didn't get hit with a back fist and then didn't have to shake it off. If you got hit square with a back fist, it was a real stand-up back fist. If you got hit with a hook kick, a spinning hook kick, ask Billy Blank. You was out cold. Because guys worked on their technique. They didn't care about winning a tournament. Now you got guys out there who don't even look like they black belts competing because they're not afraid to get touched. And he ain't going to do it but slap you with an open hand. No, listen. If you ain't skilled enough, you shouldn't be in the ring as a black belt.
But again, just to be fair, the powers that be are the judges and referees who are incompetent in the sense of they don't even realize that what they're doing is messing up the sport because they don't even know that the ball has to go inside a hoop. You understand?
But
some of these people don't know the difference.
But these people that you're talking about, they talk a good game. They understand what you and I, they understand what we're talking about and what we are saying about proper technique, being a striker. They understand this, but they just don't show it when they get in the ring. They fall right back.
All right, what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying. What you're saying is the accountability for what would be a quality technique also is part of the competitor. They would not be doing those techniques if they wouldn't get points for them.
Exactly. They're clean.
So what I'm saying is that leadership is very simple. I don't care what industry it is. If you see that as a challenge by the results that will produce that people don't like the end result, then you have to go to upper management. When I'm judging, I say, guys, do me a favor. Don't get mad at me if you don't lock your knee and I don't give you a point. If you slap somebody, I will not give you a point. Because in my school, a slap is a slap, and this is a technique. So don't get mad at me. And you know what people normally do? That's right, and they applaud. And I do not bend that. There's other people that are like me, but they're minorities, and then other people start yelling at them and screaming at them, and I'm like, whoa, whoa. So my point is that both sides have to be responsible for what would be our sport. But it starts with upper management actually following the rules that they have written. But it also means to educate the teachers to be able to teach properly. So there's a procedure to it.
That's what I'm talking about right there. You got to start in your gym. If you got an instructor, he got to show you what a correct. You look at the other different styles of tournament fighting, and you see these guys throwing these beautiful reverse punches, doing all this stuff.
The WKF looks beautiful today. The WKF looks incredible. That looks like what we were doing. Let me tell you this. Sorry for interjecting, but let me just tell you this. Only because I have a solution that we've already started working on as a test market far back in 2008. In 2008, we already started doing what would be the solution to it. I started doing what was called RISCI, Real Sport Karate Instructors Certifications. I did this in Bolton, England, Puerto Rico, and throughout the United States because I realized that a lot of the people didn't even know how to teach the techniques themselves because there was a generation gap. So they were unconscious, incompetent, or the blind was leading the blind. So I said to them, listen, and I gave them my sparring curriculum that came from a variety of things, including, rest in peace, Joe Louis, and things that I learned by trial and error, and then recording myself and then And half the time, I didn't know what the hell I was doing until I watched on video. I'm like, oh, my God, I can't believe I did that technique because I was just scared. It was going to knock me out after all the crap I was talking, But my point is that there's a solution to it, and it's threefold. First of all, it's based on motivating the educating. So there's people that know better that aren't around. And then it's educating the motivating. There's people right now that just don't know better. And when they find out, and we were already in Madison Square Garden, we were already on ESPN TV, that maybe they'll listen. I tested it. It worked on a small scale. Now, with the WMO, knowing that there's other countries doing the same thing, I was able to get Canada and South Africa to bring teams, and the United States to bring teams to the World Championships. I didn't go, but I sent my partner, and now the United States has a team. My point is this. The ball has already started rolling towards what we were used to in the world of sport karate way back when. Now, let me just say this other thing. Today, one thing that is different that we never had yesteryear is that someone at age 50, which I'll be in January, to be the youngest person in a division, which is unheard of back in the 80s. Let's talk about that for a second. There are some people that still got it going on, baby.
When I'm thinking about what you just said and the technique, and teaching the proper technique, right now, today, when I see the top fighters, one thing that I see that most of all them have in common is they got good footwork. They can move. They can in and out. They can move lateral. They got good footwork. Those are the winners. Back in the day, man, if you had good footwork, that's great. But to throw some of the techniques, you got to stand in the fire. You got to stand in the midst of whatever technique they throw on and just barely make them miss. Like a spin. Jerry, one of the best techniques was this. When somebody throw a spinning hook kick, you didn't run from it and didn't want to get touched for it. You
in the pocket.
Let it go over your head, and you stay right there in the pocket because that's the only way you can get that connection, that good contact.
Or you jam it before it goes around. Right?
That's what
that was scary.
Exactly. You stay in there because you got defense too. Two guys, when you connect in the middle of the ring, you're going to see some techniques fly. Today you may connect in the middle of the ring and one guy pull out, because he don't want to get touched. They bouncing, looking at each other. And I'm not saying that, to make this sport successful, to be a good striker, you got to go out and get beat up. No, but you got to be willing to rely on your defense sometimes. You got to be able to rely on watching a good technique coming at you and know that as soon as this guy throw this spinning hook kick, now I'm going to spin and throw my hook kick because we both in good range to make good contact, but I'm going to go underneath his and throw mine harder. They don't. What they
did was this. Listen, sir, you're 100% right, but this is what happened. And again, I'm only going to be 50, but I've been fortunate enough as a teenager and a young guy to play with what would be pioneers and legends that I looked up to. What happened was, and I can tell you to the date, in 1988 was the last time sport karate was the sport karate that you and I knew. In 1989, the game changed. One of the things that they did that was a mistake was giving a two-point kick. By making the two-point kick, it made it unfair for the person who was better at punching. They took away the sweep. So they took away the sweep, and they made it into a two-point kick. So by definition, they made it into a taekwondo predominantly tournament, which is not cool because there was people from every style, including kung fu, right? Now, that's one thing. Another thing they did was they got really, I'm going to say this, guys, when the individual was the champion, the sport was bigger. When they started these teams, they started to eliminate what was the individual, and the team became bigger than the person. I didn't care about no team. I cared about Billy Banks, Keith Vitale, Jesse Thorne. Those individuals made the team. When people got on teams, they started not fighting with each other, making believe, because they were splitting some money that was like 2 cents. And they took the sport and changed it. Am I wrong? I mean, this is what I believe. Those are two of the things that were mistakes.
Well, it's just like football. Now you can't do the bump and run no more on the receiver. You can't touch the receiver downfield no more. You can't make the receiver pay coming across that middle anymore. So in a way, I can understand what the promoters and the different rules are different from what they used to be. Now it's kind of, it's getting better. It's evolving. So. With all that, knowing right there, I can understand some of the rule changes. But let's not complain about our sport if we changing the rules to look like something else. And that's all we did. A kick to the head, you got 2 points. You know what? That for what? You're supposed to be able to kick. What about making a punt? Are you trying to say that a kick is more impressive than a straight reverse punch?
They should give a two-point punch because it's harder to do that than to kick today when everybody's kicking.
Everybody kicking. You're right. Everybody kicking. There's no way. Everybody want to kick. Even the old guys out there in the ring want to kick. So.
You know what? Let's just put a stop to this right now because, in all honesty, we can go on for 2 days and a half. And this is really not about sport karate in general. This is about the history of one of the top fighters of all time who's been able to not only become a competitor in the sport, he left the sport for a few reasons. One of them was, and let's just get a checklist in terms of, did you ever get a chance to play professional sports, and which ones was it? And what team?
Well, most people, I'm about to tell you, most people don't realize that right out of high school, I had an offer to go to the Olympics in a different sport. I would actually sign as a free agent to the Atlanta Chiefs. That was a soccer team. I was an All-American soccer halfback, and I just played 1 year. So I got invited from that 1 year playing soccer. I was better at soccer, but I decided to go into football. So, I tried out with a few teams in football. I never really made it on the team. It was like one of those things where you try out and you stay there for a couple of weeks and, they'll release you, bring somebody else in. But you know what? I was happy that I made it to that level from thinking when I was a little boy sitting in high school that one day I want to be a pro football player, and I got the opportunity to see what that lifestyle was like, So I left there. I did my thing in football. When it was time to go, I came back to karate. Then I decided to go on TV and become a pro wrestler. And I made it to a level that most people don't understand. It's the highest level in that sport right now, entertainment right now. I made it to the promotion, the higher promotion, WCW and WWF. And I was one of the best on there. I was one of what they got. I was one of the things that they got that they call over. When you get over, that means when you become ratings on TV. So I mean,
mainstream and the moneymaker. Mainstream and the moneymaker. Bottom line, right? You was a player, baby.
Think about this. There's thousands of kids out there wanting to grow up to be a world karate champion. Thousands of kids out there. Millions of kids thinking about it. There's millions of kids thinking about one day when they're young. Now, one day I want to try for a pro football team. I want to play pro football team. There's millions of kids out there thinking about, one day I want to be a pro wrestler like The Rock, like Stone Cold, like Goldberg, like Stevie Ray. And then, let's go to another level. There's a lot of kids out there saying, I want to act. I want to be an actor. I want to be in an Oscar-nominated movie. I did all four. Think about it. I've done all four.
Well, let me just backtrack for a second so like that you guys see this. Mr. Ernest the Cat Miller, also known as Dirty Red, is just giving you historical facts. So let me tell you this much. He was an instructor in one of the Joe Corley schools one day, and then the next day he's part of WCW as a wrestler, and then he was able to go to WWF, I should say, formerly known as WWF, not only as a wrestler, but he was the commissioner, as my son reminded me. Plus, in addition to that, let's talk about some of the things like, rest in peace, Mr. James Brown, your relationship with some of these videos, and the greatest. Let's talk about that, because that to me was so freaking cool.
You know what? Once I got to a level of being one of the top guys, I was able to call my own shots. I was able to write some of my own stuff in WCW. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to go back and be a part of my childhood, you know. And at that time, one of my favorite entertainers was James Brown. So, you know, I started doing this stuff on TV, and it led me all the way into the ring. So one day they called and said, listen, James Brown said you want his favorite, favorite wrestler, and he's willing to come in and put his cape on you. So I said, all right. You know, I was so happy to do that, man. And, you know, I didn't know if it was going to work out. But then when I finally, James Brown came, we sat in the trailer, we talked, man. I got to talk to him. I got to shake his hand. I got to entertain with him. And you guys, people just don't really know just how big that was to be, man. I mean, that was a dream come true, man. Because, you know, here I am watching this guy on TV, and if you're not a James Brown fan, you know, it's, if you are, I'm telling you, man.
There's something wrong with you not a James Brown fan. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Just yesterday, I was listening on Get on the Good Foot and Super Bad because it's also part of the foundation of the hip-hop culture, which I grew up in. But anyway, keep on, sir.
Exactly. So for me to be in the ring and entertaining and talking to this man and he talking to me, it was just, you know, there's no amount of money that could take the place of that, man. You couldn't put a dollar figure on that. You know, for me to have the joy and to be able to do something like that, man, and entertain my fans and my friends and family and everything with James Brown, the great James Brown. So, yeah, we was on pay-per-view. We did a TV. We did a whole little month of working with James Brown.
Who else did you get an opportunity to meet that might have been a surreal experience because you was one of their fans?
Well, you know what? Muhammad Ali. I got to meet Muhammad Ali.
Okay, stop right there. Imagine this. This kid from Atlanta, I should say the Atlanta area, Georgia, gets an opportunity to not just become eventually a black belt. If I say Andre Tippett, what do you say?
Oh, yeah, Andre, man. I just talked to Andre was one of the ones that talked me back into doing karate, sparring. Andre Tippett is the man.
For people who don't know who Andre Tippett is, shame on you. This is an all-pro 8-year linebacker with the New England Patriots who was inducted to the NFL Hall of Fame 3 years ago, if not 4 years ago, who on the weekend used to sneak away and do what? What was he doing on the off-season?
He was sparring. He was fighting. But, you know, he was the one I was trying out with New England Patriots when this big guy talked to me, and I was telling him, you know, I need to do something else. Other than just something, he started talking about karate. He didn't even know I was a black belt. He started saying, you know, I'm doing martial arts and I'm doing this. I was like, martial arts? I didn't tell him I was a black belt. I just told him at that time I was a brown belt. I didn't tell him I was involved with it before. So he kind of talked me into it. He said, hey, this is a good area for it. They have tournaments on Saturdays and Sundays. So, you know, he kind of pushed me back toward karate too, you know.
Props to Andre Tippett, who I literally reached out to just a few days ago, and I feel kind of cool that he remembers who I am, which is kind of nice, you know. I seen him fight against Billy Blanks, and Billy tried to sweep him, and he reversed the sweep, which was incredible. That was the level that the NFL pro football player was at. 6'5", 280 pounds, whatever he was, grease lightning, and the size of a head, even bigger than yours, sir.
Oh, yeah, but guess what? That size, him and Billy used to have some good fights, but he couldn't touch Billy. You know, I like to give him that credit. He was a big, strong guy, but, you know, he was no match for Billy.
But just to be fair, Andre Tippett, if he would have focused on anything, I think he would have been because, you know, just to be fair.
Now, don't get me wrong now. Above the level of good, he was above that level. You know, but Billy, Nasty, those guys was superior to damn near everybody out there, you know. So,
well, they were superheroes.
Give it to them.
These guys were super. And okay, let me explain to everyone that's listening. Jerry Fontenot, formerly known as Fast Feet, was not a superhero. I was a mere mortal in the sense that when I looked at these guys, they were like the Incredible Hulk and the Thing, and because not only were they good at kicking and punching and footwork and angles, etc., sweeping, but they had bodies like athletes. Athletes. Am I wrong? Talk to me about that.
Let me tell you something, Jared. Those guys, they made the sports look professional. When I said professional, everything about them was professional. You know, they were getting paid. You know, they were going during the week. You know, they were working on their technique. You know, they were working on their bodies. You know, they were working to be that superior athlete. You know, that superior athlete. So with all that in mind, man, when these guys showed up on Friday and Saturday, you looking at these guys like, these guys made me want to kick their asses because they were so perfect. You know, I couldn't wait to get my hands on them. You know, but the bottom line is I fought nasty one time in Washington, D.C. It was Paul Mitchell versus, I think it was Team Transworld or Transworld then. And I was nasty was a heavyweight, and I was out heavyweight. So when we got up, he beat me 2-1. But, you know, it was a lot of home cooking there because I was going at him with everything I had. And after the fight, he was like, man, you good, man. Dirty Red, you good. He called me Dirty Red.
Well, okay, let me just say this, right? The fact of the matter is that all I am, personally, is a martial arts fan. I had an opportunity to yell and scream and see some incredible people. I'm also never have been a play hater because that's not in my DNA. Anything that I know personally is not mine. It was given to me by God and I'm supposed to share it. That's the bottom line. It belongs to martial arts. It belongs to the universe. And being selfish is not something that you're supposed to do because God don't like no ugly. I'm not trying to make this anybody, guys. I apologize, but that's what I believe. Billy Banks taught me how to blitz. Nasty Emerson taught me how to do the dive bomb. Joe Lewis taught me how to do fake repositions. And somewhere along the line, you take a Puerto Rican from the Bronx that's part of a hip-hop culture that was trying to mimic Spider-Man and Spider-Man and the Hulk, and that's how you got Fearless Fast Feet, today known as the fat guy they used to, you know. But it's because we got inspired by other people. But that didn't mean we were fans. In the ring, we had to be men.
Exactly.
And
hey, let me tell you something, dear. To watch you, Mafia, Pedro, Kevin Thompson, let me see who else was in that ring up there, man. There was a bunch of guys from New York, too, man. They had that all-star team that they had. I think it was the All-Stars.
Yeah, Metro All-Star teams.
Yeah.
Yep, Mike Good and Mighty Joe Rivera. And then you had the Brady twins, and you had
the twins, the Brady twins. You forget so many.
Marty Knight.
And it was all at once. There's one like it is now where you can go to one ring and see maybe two great guys or two really good fighters, you know, and they end up clean. Let's just say this right here. One of the lightweights that I like to see fight out there right now, other than the guys I work with, I like to see the focus in his eyes. I like to see how he go hard every time, and that's Ross Levine.
Well, Ross Levine is my favorite of what would be the modern day fighter because he's a throwback. He's a throwback fighter.
Him and Jack
Felton is a person who has limited arsenal, but so great timing and distance and heart of the line. Heart of the line. In addition to that, I got to give credit to my favorite fighter in the last 10 years, only because of the style of flamboyancy, which I'm a descendant of Gorgeous George, Muhammad Ali, and everybody else after that. Raymond Daniels, baby. My man has entertained me and represented for all of us in kickboxing, too.
You know what? I give Raymond his props for doing it. Raymond is the kind of do it. Don't talk about it. Do it. Let's do it. I give him his props for that, you know, but I think with the way Raymond is being used out there, I think
that's sad. If I manage them, I don't like it.
That's what I look at. I don't look at what an athlete is entertaining me because each day he entertains something, I get closer to his last days. So he should be getting paid for everything that he's doing out there. He's one of the guys who, if you want to do it and you want him to do it, he'll do it. He'll get in and do it. But I don't think the people out there, man, are really out for his good, you know. And well,
let's just be fair. Let's just be fair for a second. And this is no disrespect to anybody, but the fact of the matter is that our sport does not have any leadership. There are a bunch of people that might have good intentions, maybe, but they're incompetent. They never made themselves professional and learned from professional sports from a managerial standpoint. Because for whatever it's worth, and again, I'm being a little biased here. When I see someone like, whether it's, I'm Mafia Holloway's number one fan of all time, but not the Mafia that was throwing himself to the floor and snapping people. The Mafia that would knee down leg. And, you know, that's the Mafia that teenager that you better watch it. You know, at the same time, there was a time where Mafia Holloway and Fast Three Fontenay, if those two kids were fighting, oh, my God, everybody was coming to see those freaking kids. Right? And they were teenagers.
No. I watched one of those fights, man, and I was like, you know, it was just like getting ready to watch the Super Bowl with two of the best teams playing. You know, you knew it. You can look at everything you guys did to prepare for that fight right up to the time the referee said fight. It was like watchable, you know, and this is what I'm saying right here. This is the only thing I'm saying right here, that today, none of these young guys in the business, in the sports karate, want to go and listen to those guys who've already showed that they've been there and they've done that.
Right, with the old people that are just talking. And you know what happens?
We just in a way, they talking about, you hear them talking about Billy Blanks, and Billy Blanks ain't fought in karate in 30 years. And you 31. So how the hell are you going to be talking about what Billy used to do? You got people like Jared, you got Jared Fontenay walking around in the tournament. You got people who were there. Instead of talking to them and learning from them, what keeping you here? How were you able to stay into this sport as long as you have? Well, what keeping you great? What keeping you good? They rather talk to guys their own ages.
But this is what's happening.
You can't learn anything from those guys.
No, but listen to what's happening now. Literally, because we're having this conversation and it's being recorded, they get an opportunity to be educated if they choose to. You understand?
Exactly. Yeah.
This information has never been documented accordingly because our sport has abandoned itself. And no one's taking the bull by the horn to say, listen, if you're playing basketball, damn it, you're going to know who Dr. J is. You're going to know who Michael Jordan is. But you're going to know who Bill Russell is also. And in football, etc. And there's no timeline history where you can go to find out the real deal. So all I'm trying to do is inspire another 99 people, hopefully, to do what I'm doing here now so we can get just a portion of the information that these pioneers and legends have in between their ears that will die with them unless somebody documents it. And that's what I'm talking about. No one has taken responsibility to get the information out. Today, I interviewed not only Manny Reyes Jr., who gives all props and credit to past, present, and future, but Malaya DeCasco, the first freaking woman champion, mother of Mark DeCasco, former wife of Al DeCasco. She's in her 70s and still weighs the same weight as when she was 16 years old. So I can go completely across the board to the 60s and in addition to today, because we are all suffering for the lack of information between the generation gaps. And this is one of the tools that will be helping by making them understand that you're not some dude that's just entertaining them. And this is what gets me. You are entertaining them and educating them, and you're not even charging them, Mr. Ernest Cat Miller, who has been not only in WWE and WCW, but the Iron Sheik in the Academy Award movie that everyone sees as the fight, the last scene against Mickey Rourke and the wrestler. Isn't that the truth? Or is he giving these people?
Yeah. Oscar nominated.
I got to thank you for all the people who don't know any better. They don't know any better. That you are giving your time, money, and effort by having your presence there. And I see you on a consistent basis bring in fun, energy, and pain for all these people in terms of leading by example. When I see you fight against someone like Dennis Malloy, oh my God, doesn't matter if it was in the 80s, the 90s, 2000, or just 2 years ago. Holy crap. You guys are true examples of what gladiators could be in their 50s and beyond.
But you know what, Jerry? These guys today don't see us in that way. They don't see that these are guys right here. You're looking at guys 50 years old doing what they're doing right now.
50 years young.
Yeah, think about what they were doing when they were 20, 25. Think about the things they were doing then. You know, and right now you got still around you. You know, you still got Richard walking around. You still got Terry Kramer calling the points. And Terry Kramer is the son. They look at Terry like he's the best center referee around. Man, Terry was the best fighter around. Terry would fight. He was unbelievable at heavyweight.
He knocked out Billy Blanks. He knocked out Billy Blanks.
This guy was he was like a sneaky tiger. You know,
maybe the best backers in the history. Maybe the best back knuckle in the history of sport karate, and Les Family Verse wasn't too bad either.
And when I say hit you with a back fist, he didn't just hit you with a back fist off a flip. He'll hit you as fast going backward, jumping, hopping backwards. You know, moving back, moving forward, stepping to the side. Man, this cat right here was unbelievable. But see, now they only see this guy in the ring now judging. It's, you know, I think it's up to the older guys, the history makers, to make the history, to put it down, to document, like you said, to let people know, like, you're not the first to do that. We had guys here before you and then before them. Well,
this is what it comes down to, and you hit the nail on the head. One of the few tournaments. Yes, sir.
Let me say this before I go. You get a lot of history, man, and I'm going to tell you, I like that New York area right now. I like the Philly, the Jersey, the New York area, because they take care of their history. They're going to let you know that you're in this area, such and so around this. You know, you go to Detroit, you see those same guys out there. They got a lot of. I went to Richard Tournament this year, and Richard Tournament, man. I mean, I was educated out there by some guys, man. You know, guys who were a little older than myself. These guys who had been around in that area. I didn't know the history was deep out there in the martial arts. You know,
absolutely.
So you come here to Atlanta, down south. You know, we got our own history too. Now what we did is unify all that stuff and put it out there some kind of way or another and let people know, listen, this is what you guys got to look forward to. You know, we got guys right here that made money, went out, made money, came back to the sport. Me, I the one out that made money, good living. And I come back and do what I love. You know, I didn't have to stay in the dojo and teach for somebody else my whole life, then realize that I missed out on a lot of things. No, I did that. Then I moved and did some of the other things I wanted to do. Then I came back to martial arts. Then I went and did something else I wanted to do. Then I came back. And then before I realized it now, I don't have to be in a dojo and teaching all day long just to earn pennies to teach people. I can give my stuff away for free because I went outside to make my money to come back into the sports and give my time and hope to teach one of these young cats how to do something or get something from the sport I love so much.
You know, sir, again, for those people who don't realize the sacrifice and the commitment and the love that you've shown for the sport and others have, I want to thank you for them. Because they don't know me better, but they will, because one of the things that I'm doing, sir, is I'm going to help the people who are what I consider recognized champions. A recognized champion is someone who actually been there, done that. And that being the case, this is part of the infancy of what will be. Educating people in a variety of ways. Within the next 2 hours or so, you'll be able to go to Dojine, DOJINE.com / your last name, which is Miller, of course. And this will be not only at your own page where people can listen to it, they can also download the app in addition to that. Plus,
but wait a minute. But wait a minute. So you mean this gonna last forever? This is gonna be documented forever.
100 years from now, 200 years from now, whether it's your children, your kin folks, or sport karate enthusiasts, will hear the truth from the horse's mouth, baby. That's what it's all about.
So whatever I say gonna last forever.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I can go on record and tell the truth right now, and I want you to know this. For you people who don't know this, I'm a WWE wrestler, WCW wrestler, Oscar-nominated movie, The Wrestler, actor, pro football player, world karate champion, and I'm also the king of New York. I hope people understand that. Yeah, I'm coming back to New York to reclaim that throne again this year. Well, next year, January. And anybody in New York who want to challenge me for my crown, please be there. I'm taking all reservations. I'm taking everything.
And you know what's so beautiful about that? The King of New York was a tournament that I threw in the 1990s, and Jesse Ray has picked up that banner and has freaking taken it to the next level, and kudos to him and the whole Ray family. I love them. What he was able to do a few years ago, again, without even charging for it, similar to what you just did right now, was motivate and actually intimidate someone like Ray McCallum and, to try to come out. So I think what's going to have to happen in order for this to be done properly, that means that you're going to have to fight Jerry Sassy Fontanez in the Boogie Down Bronx, because that's the only person who can bring it to you in all of karate in 2016, baby.
Hey, I like that, Jerry. I like that you step up to the plate and you put yourself out there just to kind of hold up the status of New York. Because there's a lot of New York so-called fighter tough guys that are not stepping up to the plate.
They disappeared, man. It's sad.
That making New York look real, real bad. For me.
Hey, listen, you know. Let's keep it real. Anyone who knows the history about sport karate and New York, it was 10 years between Joe Louis and myself who had any New Yorker who's in the top 10 rated. The majority of the people, including Ajadi Tenten, all learned from my operation because they were students. So whether you guys like it or not, goddammit.
But
yes, sir.
But all those guys retire when they get in there. How the hell you gonna retire from something that you're not getting paid from?
It's called fear.
How you gonna turn 40 and say, "Oh, I refuse to fight in the 40 and over"? I retire from it. How you gonna retire from?
It's called fear.
That's just like me retiring from flag football. Oh, I'm not
going to play flag football no more. You mean you played flag football too?
No, I just played flag football. But I'm just
you said flag. I didn't know there was an L there.
No, I said flag. I heard what you said.
Okay, I'm just checking.
But how in the world you gonna retire from something like that? So what I'm saying is this right here. I'm gonna be in New York again for the King of New York. I'm gonna give everybody one more chance before I retire. I'm coming to New York, and I guarantee. Hold up.
Yes, sir.
40 and over. I guarantee that I will be the King of New York once again. 2 years. I'm gonna do it 2 years straight. I'm gonna wear my crown from last year through the airport on my way to the King of New York.
Guys, you heard it here. And when it's all said and done, I am publicly, again, re-announcing the simple fact that, yes, Mr. Jesse Ray and family will have to deal with Jerry, formerly known as Sassy Fontanez, going in there, representing for New York, since most of you punks can't step up. So someone got to freaking do it, because Ernest the Cat Miller is coming, damn it. And he ain't no freaking pussycat. He's the real deal. Dirty Rats in the house, and somebody has to be the man of the house and represent for what New York, because it ain't right, baby. It ain't right, but it's the truth. This is a guy with a crooked tooth. Grandmaster Sassy Fontaine here telling you that I'm taking it to the next level the way it's supposed to be, because you know what? Mama made me do it, you know? And,
Jared, how can you say the king of New York is not from, let's just say, surrounding area? He's not from New Jersey. He's not from Philly. He's not from even Connecticut. He's not from New York. The king of New York from Atlanta, Georgia.
That's funny. Well, the D.C. bomber, the D.C. bomber, meaning Jeff Smith, was from Texas, so, you know, that.
Oh, my goodness. There's no way we'll let somebody come down here and win.
And take it from the house.
The king of Atlanta and get out of here. There's no way we'll let you get out. We don't care what age you are. We don't care.
But you're giving pride. You're giving pride to the region, and that's what it was. But listen, again, the bottom line is this.
Right.
The bottom line is this. You, sir, are from a different fabric. However, I am from the same fabric as you. I'm from the same fabric as you. So that's the great thing about it. You know, so I can tell you right now, Mr. Ernest the Cat Miller, Dirty Red, as I love to say, I promise you, you will be able to fight a man in New York that's from New York who's really right now in Florida. That's where I'm at now, getting ready to see my next grandson being born, because I'm not going to miss this thing. And I promise you at least one match will be with a real man. And that's the guy named Sassy Fontaine. At the very freaking least, because you deserve that. And the sport deserves that. And this is the way it's supposed to be, damn it.
Yes,
I love it.
All right then, my man.
Yes, sir. Hey, listen, I'm really respectful of your time, and I want to say from the bottom of my heart just two things. Is it possible in the future for us to revisit and tap your brain on some of the mental aspects of what makes a champion? Because by documenting this, some of these guys will really, I believe, some of them will not only appreciate it, but realize and recognize that you are the real freaking deal, baby.
You know, I only called in to support you, so anytime you need to call me, you got my number, brother. And I'll be good talking to you.
Hey, pleasure. Only one other thing. In the famous words of some crazy Puerto Ricans from the Bronx, when I say A.B., Mr. Ernest the Cat Miller, you say see ya. A.B.,
see ya.